I just got adjusted today, and you know how I say try to take it easy for the first day. So, and like the next time I get to see this person, because there's only 2 people that do it in New Jersey, it might be 3 or 4 weeks. So
you lay low.
I would like to lay low, but if someone really needs it, I'll take a look.
So you were out of?
I was I held one adjustment for 3 years.
Wow.
Which and before that I was going to like a regular chiropractor 3 or 4 times a week just to feel like okay. And so today I will tell you my entire story. This literally saved my life, like completely. I wouldn't be here without it today. And I just want to thank the Pelosi's for having me. You guys have been such a big part of my life this last year and a half, and I love what you guys are doing here, just getting everybody connected, having everybody go in, and I'm just very grateful to have you guys in my life, and I'm really just very grateful to be here right now, because I don't think I would have been here without this technique. So when I was in 3rd grade, my father took me to my first chiropractor, and I used to get terrible ear infections and sinus infections, and I was always going to get antibiotics and everything, and because that's what we do primarily in this country. We get medicine outside in, try to get healed that way. And so I remember my first experience going to a chiropractor, and he was just putting his hands in very specific locations and just taking the pain away with his hands, and I just felt amazing afterwards, and I was very drawn to it at a young age. I knew I always wanted to do it, but I was more of an athlete growing up, and I didn't think I could do the book work, and I always kind of psyched myself out of that. Hockey was my first love in life. I pretty much dedicated my entire life to it when I was a young kid. And that's how I spent most of my time, and I loved it, and that's how I met a lot of amazing people. And I've had a couple of life experiences that have definitely put me on the path I'm on today. When I was 16 years old, I woke up at like 8 a.m. and I heard my mom just like in a frenzy downstairs screaming. And I go downstairs, and it's my father, who's 6'2", 200 pounds, the epitome of health. Guy exercised every day, worked out, daily affirmations. You would think he was good mentally, physically, and everything. Just my hero growing up. And I see him, he's on the floor, and he's keeled over, gasping for air. And I'm kind of looking at my mom, and we have no idea what to do. So I did the only thing that I thought to do in that situation. I said, "Dad, put your hands over your head and just breathe. Keep breathing." And 2 minutes gone by, and he was getting a little better, and then he started gasping for air again. So then we called the ambulance. They came about 5 or 10 minutes, and sadly, that was the last time I got to see my father alive. But it was a very profound experience, and it kind of always just led me to ask the question, how healthy do we really think we are, and where does health come from? And it was, the next couple years were like understandably rough for me and my mom. I mean, my dad was the core of our family, and it just one day kind of just got swept out from under us. And but it just kind of made me grateful for everybody in my life, for all the beautiful people that you do have in your life. And I don't think I would be able to appreciate it if it wasn't for that moment. But so a couple of years went by, and things were getting better. When I was 18, 19 years old, I was playing hockey. I was in college. I literally, I thought it was the best time of my life. I was having so much fun in college. I was playing hockey, and I don't think I wouldn't have had that extra high if it wasn't for those couple low years I had. And I was just very, very aware of what was going on. I was very, very happy to be back up again. And in my teen years, I had a pretty significant amount of trauma. I remember I was surfing one time when I was 16. I jumped off the wave. I came back up, and the board went spinning up in the air, and the skeg hit me in the head. I went to the hospital, and I got 6 staples, got patched up, didn't think anything of it. I was involved in a hockey fight when I was 17, and I slipped back, hit the boards. I was knocked unconscious, and I woke up in the locker room, and I was like, how did I do? And they're like, how did you do? You need to go to the hospital. So I got 10 more staples put in my head. And then around 19 years old, like I said, everything was beautiful. I was loving life. And I was in hockey practice. I collided with one of my friends, and I saw stars for about 10 seconds. And you kind of just shake it off, and you kept going. And I played 3 or 4 more hockey games that week. And then I woke up Monday morning, and I had no idea where I was. I was just brain fog, blurred vision, intense knee pain, like down to the core, like something I've never felt before, just burning knee pain, headaches, anxiety, depression, and so I went to the primary care physician on campus, and she said, you have a concussion, lay low for 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll be fine again. So I said, okay, that sounds good to me. And by the end of the 2 or 3 week period, I started to feel worse. And I didn't tell my mom anything up to this point. So I gave her a call, and I was like, Mom, I think there's something seriously wrong here. I'm not feeling good at all. All the symptoms I just explained to you. So I went to doctor after doctor after doctor. One doctor led to another. I remember I was in my first neurologist's office, and I had hand tremors. 20 years old, my hands were shaking at night, and I would have to put them under the pillow for them to stop shaking so I could go to sleep. And I would turn my head, and I remember this ear would just pulse, and it was so loud that it would keep me up. So for about 3 or 4 years, I would say I got 3 or 4 hours of sleep every night, and that burning knee pain I was talking about would wake me up first thing in the morning. So I was just not in a good spot. But I remember the first neurologist I went to, he says, Kevin, you're okay. Like, this is just a concussion. And I remember he had a flashlight on his desk, and I turned it on and I put it up against the wall, and I'm like, this is not normal. I'm 20 years old. I shouldn't be shaking like this. So left that doctor, went to a new one. They put me on seizure medication to help the hand tremors. They put me on painkillers for the intense knee pain. And this is actually kind of funny. I went to a psychiatrist because I told one doctor I was depressed. And it wasn't that I was depressed, like I just had my core swept out from under me, and all these symptoms were going on. That's why I was depressed. It wasn't like I don't know, I didn't feel like I had anything to complain about. I just couldn't function anymore. So I go to a psychiatrist, and I tell the guy, I was like, I just wish I can go out and just have a drink with a couple of my friends. I'm in college. I just kind of want to enjoy myself. And he viewed that as an alcoholic tendency. And the next week, I'm in AA classes, just I'm a huge fan of AA. It's great, but wasn't the place where I needed to be right there. And I just remember just sitting in the AA meeting, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? It was just like a nightmare that wasn't ending. And so stopped seeing those people, and went to I went to the place where you're supposed to be, National Concussion Center of America, United States, whatever it is, Washington D.C. And this is when I almost just completely lost my mind. I was sitting in front of the guy that you're supposed to see for your concussions and everything, and I'm sitting right across from him. I'm telling him the exact same story as you, a little more darker because I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. So I was just telling him everything that was going on, and I will never forget. He looked right at me, and he said, "Kevin, what if I was to tell you that you're going to have to live this for the rest of your life?" Wow. And I'm just like, I'm looking around. I'm like, this is our first visit, and you're giving up already? Like you're done? And I walked out and I was like, I think I want a new doctor, and I never saw that guy again. But what happened after that day you get all these brilliant people telling you that there's no hope, there's no answers. I mean, this is probably 2 years down the line at this point of every day being the worst day of your life. And, you know, I'm a pretty positive person, and my mom because my mom had no idea what to do either, and she was just like, Kevin, you know, just pray every day, it's going to get better. And every night I went to bed, tomorrow's going to be a different day, please God, let this be a different day. And the next day everything was the same. So just kind of felt like a bad dream. And so you start believing all these people that you're never going to get better, and I thought I was going to live a long miserable life. My relationships with pretty much everybody were suffering. My girlfriend at the time, who stayed with me for a while, and I don't blame her at all. She left, and after that, it was just a very, very low point in my life. And I woke up one morning, and that burning knee pain. I probably got 3 hours of sleep that night. I woke up, and I literally just like rolled over to my side, and I was like, just either kill me or get me better, because I cannot live like this. And I sat up, and I just kind of held my head in my hands and just started crying. And something kind of came over me in those couple minutes where I was just like, you know, that's not the answer. You got to see this through. And if anybody had any suggestions for me, no matter how crazy or insane it was, I was going to do it. So I actually went to a Catholic university in Washington, D.C., and I decided to go see the priest. Like, what the hell? Maybe he'll have something. Maybe he'll give me a blessing, a couple Hail Marys, a couple Other Fathers. I'll be on my way, and I'll be feeling good. Who knows? So I go see him, and I really need to reach out to this man, because he really changed the course of how everything was going. I walk in, he had a pack of cigarettes on the desk. He just a grizzly guy, and it was the first person in a couple of years that really met me on my level. Like, I was looking up to all these doctors, like, please help, and this guy literally pulled up a chair, sat right in front of me, and he said, what's going on? Like, literally I needed somebody just to meet me right here. And he was the first person to do that. And I was telling him my story, and halfway through it, he's just kind of like, just shaking his head. He's like, stop. And he said, Kevin, you can do all the hoping, wishing, praying in the world, but if you don't go out there and find the root cause of your problem, nothing's going to get better. Wow. And from a priest to be like, I thought he was going to be like, Kevin, God is going to save you. God is going to be good. And and I was just like, wow, you know what? You're right. And he was like, out of all the people that have walked this earth, one person had to have had what you've had, and one person must have beaten it. And if there was nobody, be that first person. Keep knocking on doors. Don't take no for an answer, and you will find something. So I left that room a little like shook, because that was not what I expected was going to happen. And I started making phone calls, and I called a ex-professional hockey player that was doing really well with his concussions. And he was in South Jersey, and he was doing neck injections around the brainstem, and he had some success with other not chiropractors, professional hockey players. So for 4 months, I would wake up in Washington, D.C. at 6 o'clock. I would drive to New Jersey, and then I was getting these neck injections in the back of my head. Like, the needle was literally this big. It was like PRP injections. And I remember the first consultation, it was the first doctor that said, yeah, no, we can do something. We can help. And when you have something like this happen to you, not only does it affect you, but it affects your entire family. Mm-hmm. And the doctor said, we can get you better. And my mom just lost it, just started breaking down, crying. And I had no idea the mental pain that she was in, and that she was going through all my stuff. She was suffering. And when I saw that, I was like, you know what, this is bigger than me. This is no way to live. Whatever happens here, we got to keep searching, because I'm affecting my loved ones and the people around me. So I would drive to Washington, D.C., and I would make it back for 2 o'clock class that day. And I did that for 4 months. And the first injection, I felt really good for 2 days. And I had some, the brain fog was so bad, I had a little bit of clarity. And for the first time in a very long time, I was like, oh, this is how you're supposed to, like, this is how things are supposed to be. Like, I forgot. And it lasted 2 days. And the shots ended up not working, but it was another stepping stone where this doctor told me posture dictates function. And if you clear the interference around the brain stem, your body has the capability to heal itself. And it was the first time I got a little bit of an answer. And it was another, and even though it didn't work out, I'm very thankful I met him because it led to the next step. And the next step was, I think it's really amazing how your life comes full circle, and the people that are strategically placed in your life that you don't know it at the time. But I actually ended up going to see that chiropractor I was telling you about, 3rd grade, that was fixing me up, and he got me 60 to 70% better, maybe even more. He's a great guy. His name's Dr. Anthony Donono. He's in Manalapan. And if I didn't, I was like 60, 70, maybe 80% better sometimes. And but if I didn't see him for a week, everything would come back. So I was there 3 or 4 times a week, make sure I was there, and I was functioning again. And I remember thinking to myself, well, chiropractor's giving me some relief right now. Let's see where it goes. Let's go to school. Let's see what happens. And he told me, he's like, Kevin, I don't know if there's anybody out there that can help you. And I remember hearing him, but it went one ear right out the other. I was like, I always wanted to live in California. It was a dream of mine, and my cousin went to school out there, so I just went. And it was strange because usually I would listen to something like that, but I just didn't want to be reliant on somebody my entire life. I wasn't going to sit in my town of Howell, New Jersey for the rest of my life and just base my life around this. Like, that's not living. Like, I was thinking to myself, how am I ever going to go on vacation? Like, I was literally reliant on this person. So I went out to California, and sure enough, 3 or 4 weeks into school, everything came back.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What was he doing that was clear?
He was, so what we do is extremely specific up in that red area where the brainstem is. Yeah. So he was working in that area, okay, just not as specific.
Gotcha.
So he was putting his hands in the right spot, yeah, but it just wasn't, so we say holding is healing. Mm-hmm. The beautiful part about this adjustment is we can literally give you one adjustment. Jackie is a living testament, yeah, and it can hold weeks to months to years. Yeah. So the healing isn't in the adjustment itself, it's the holding. So if you hold for month after month, your body stays, you get 100% nerve flow, your body stays in alignment, and everything, because it's a nervous system, it's a very delicate process, it needs some time to heal. So if you don't give it that time to heal and you keep putting it back, there's not a lot of healing.
Did he have that understanding, or was he getting lucky?
He's a very talented guy. He had the understanding, definitely. Mm. I was getting a neck adjustment almost every time I was in his office, which is not what, in my opinion, not how it's done. Yeah. But that being said, he was amazing because I was getting better. So I went out to California, and I didn't know this at the time. Even though I was going to see him, I didn't really know how chiropractic works. So all my stuff came back. I was helpless again, and I remember there was a girl in my class, and her mom was a chiropractor. So she goes, "I've been doing neck adjustments since I was 5 years old. Like, I can help you out." And I was like, and I was given other people in the area like a bunch of money, and I had student loans. So I was like, well, if this girl can adjust me, I'm saving money, let's do it. So she adjusted me. I got one of those twist crack adjustments, and the whole right side of my neck blew up.
No.
And
No.
and so it's like it's a Thursday night. Friday morning comes around. I'm getting ready to call my mom. I'm like, Mom, this isn't working out. Like, I didn't have this conversation yet, but I was like, I'm gonna have to come back home, drop out, and everything. And I was getting tutored from one of my friends that day. He was a little bit ahead of me, and he said, I think I might know one guy that can help you. And I said, okay, let's give somebody else a shot here. So before I went home, I was going to give this guy a shot. And I go to this office thinking it's going to, like, he was telling me what he does, but I was just not listening at this point. I was like, just show me. Just stop all the bullshit, show me, and let it work. So I was filling out the paperwork, and the way his office is set up, you round the corner to go to the waiting room, and on his office door it says, expect miracles. And for some reason, my eyes have never gravitated more towards one thing in my entire, like, I was zoned in, I looked at it, I stared at it, and then I just I sat back down in the waiting room. And then he brings me into his office, and like again I said, I feel like the universe puts these people into your life somehow, some way at all. If you hang in there long enough, something good will happen. And another doctor that met me on my level. I was telling him my story, and he put his hand over his mouth, and he was kind of smirking. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not a funny story. What the hell is this guy laughing at? And so after I finished my story, he said, Kevin, I had the same exact story as you, to a T. He was wrestling his friend on a baseball field after practice. His friend picks him up on his head, drops him on it, and he felt a huge crack under his skull, and he thought he was paralyzed. He was laying there for 4 seconds, he's like, I'm paralyzed. And then he started wiggling everything, and he was fine. And this is where a lot of people, it's tough to connect the dots to your injuries, because a lot of symptoms show up way after the actual injury occurs. It's almost like your body gives out at a certain point, and then on the nerve pressure, and your body just starts screaming for help, and that could be years after an injury. So he couldn't connect the dots. So he did the same thing I did. He went to MRIs, other medical doctors, and they wanted to put him on medication, but he said he didn't want to do it. He told me, he's like, I didn't want to feel better, I wanted to get better. And there's a difference. You can go to the liquor store and feel better, but I want to get after the root cause of this problem and get better. So he landed in another upper cervical office, and to make a long story short on his end, it completely saved his life. And his sinuses literally swelled shut. He couldn't breathe out of his nose anymore. He was getting headaches, blurred vision, depression, and after like a couple days, he said his sinuses opened up, and then he started to feel much better, and that's why he became a Blair doctor. It's called Blair upper cervical chiropractic. And so again, this is another person telling me they can get me better, and I'm just like, show me the money. Like, let's go. I've heard this. I'm very intrigued at this point. I'm more intrigued than most, than most other places I've been, but I'm still like, all right, let's do it. Show me. So we take three-dimensional x-rays, so we visualize your own anatomy, so no one in the world is going to have the same adjustment as you, because no one's built the same, or no one's had the same traumas. So he took the x-rays, he measured my own misalignments, and he put me on the table, and this is quote unquote, he goes, we're going to save your fucking life today. Wow. And I've never had a doctor talk to me like that, and I liked it.
I remember his podcast.
Yeah, he's the man. He's actually he's where I learned some of the Blair technique from, and I'm very thankful to have him in my life. But so he adjusted me and laid me there for a couple minutes, and I got up, and probably for the first time in 4 years, I didn't have that nervousness and depression just went away. Like, I was at ease for the first time in 4 years. I didn't want to kill myself, and I went to the back room to rest, and I literally felt like a surge of life come back into me, and I felt connected again for the first time. And I walked outside, and the colors on the trees were brighter and greener, and that brain fog it was like literally someone took the fog machine out of my life, and everything was very clear. And that night, after not sleeping for who knows how long, I had one of the best nights sleep of my entire life. And I wasn't cured in one day. It was up and down for about a year. Wow. But that next morning I woke up, and I knew that this is what I had to do. And I spent the rest of my time at school learning how to do this, but it was definitely, I was out of alignment. Probably since birth. I was born 3 months early, and I was premature C-section. They used the forceps to pull me out, and I probably I weighed 2 pounds 15 ounces. I was probably out of alignment since birth, and I checked a newborn baby, 2 weeks old, out of alignment. So most people go their entire lives without being checked even, and so. It literally went up and down for about a year, and every couple weeks, every month, something would get better and something would go away, until about like a year into care, I finally looked in the mirror and I'm like, I don't have blurred vision, I don't have headaches, I don't have anxiety and depression. I never in a million years thought I was going to be able to do a push-up again. I used to try to work out through this, and if I remember doing 5 push-ups one time, and the whole room started spinning, and I fell asleep for 5 hours because I just couldn't do it. And so I got better, and I started surfing again. I started playing hockey again. I slowly started getting my life back, and I never thought in a million years that was ever going to happen. And it was a rough go, and it's amazing how amazing it is to just be alive and be symptom free and wake up and not be in excruciating pain. It really is a blessing, and I'm glad I saw it through, and it literally saved my life, and that's why I do what it is that I do. And I've been in practice for about a year now, and I've seen some pretty amazing things. We'll get to Jackie's story in a minute, but about 6 months ago, this 30-year-old woman came in the office, and she went to Hong Kong, and she came back with a huge rash all over her face, and she went to every dermatologist there was to see. Nobody knew what it was. She tried all the medications, nothing was taking it away, and I've never seen anything like this. And I said, I don't know what this rash is. I don't know what's going on, but I do know that this right here is the control center. And if you take away the inflammation and correct this right here, something amazing might happen. So we got her put back into alignment, and I saw her the next week, and obviously the rash was not gone. It was still there, and she goes, my neck feels better, but I still have the rash and everything. And I was like, all right, come back next week. Rash is still there, nothing's going on. 2 weeks later, she comes back, and the rash is completely gone.
Wow.
Completely gone. And literally haven't seen her since. Literally, she's outliving her life. She's referred 3 people in the office since, but she's outliving. This is a good example in Jackie's case, when the head goes off center, the shoulder comes up, the hip comes up, and your body just starts to compensate all the way down. I've seen people with head tilt like this, and the way your body works is it wants to keep your eyes level. So it will do anything in its power to keep this level. So if you're off like this, the hip goes out here, shoulder comes up, and your body is just putting a lot of pressure. I mean, it's like your body's trying to support a 10-pound bowling ball all day. And after a while, it gives out and it can't take it anymore. So what we do is we take 3-dimensional x-rays and we visualize everybody's joint angles. Like I said, it's like having your very own blueprint of adjustment. No one's going to have the same adjustment because everybody's built the same. In regular chiropractic, you kind of walk in, it's twist, twist, pop, pop, out the door. So everybody gets a different adjustment. And once you put the spine back into alignment, you get 100% nerve flow back to the tissues and the cells in your body. That's why people come in with just like foot pain or leg pain or ear ringing or headaches. And you put that up, you put that back into alignment, you get 100% nerve flow out to everywhere in your body, and slowly but surely you get your life back. Now, like I said before, the healing is not in the adjustment. It's in getting this to stay in place. So that's where a lot of other doctors or chiropractors miss the message. It's like there's no healing taking place if you're getting your neck cracked every time. You want it to stay in place and keep that 100% nerve flow going and continuing throughout the body. So it's very possible to, I don't know if I mentioned this, I held one adjustment for 3 years. And that was the most amazing thing to me because I was in a chiropractic office 3 or 4 times a week getting my neck cracked. And once at this stayed in place, I could literally feel the healing happening inside my body. My arm was twitching one day. I used to tear my hip flexors in hockey all the time. Those would flare up every now and then. I used to get sore throats all the time. My tonsils would flare up. Like I had a sore throat 2 or 3 days, gone. And it's a phenomenon called retracing, and it's your body scanning and going through old injuries and literally healing itself.
I think an interesting part is that even if you don't feel pain necessarily, like I came in and you adjusted me, I wasn't in pain, but and yet I still saw the effects of just feeling like less brain fog. Absolutely.
And it's true healing is an inside job. It happens inside out, and that's why I came to this studio today, because it's all about going inward, figuring out what's going on here, and then projecting it out to the world. And this. The chiropractic philosophy of upper cervical is healing comes from above, down, and inside out. So you fix what's structured. This nervous system, your nervous system runs the show. It is your universe. And if there's any tension or anything, your body's not functioning right. So once you put that back into alignment and let it do its natural, innate job of healing, your life will change. And like us as upper cervical doctors, we're not the ones healing you. It's your body. We're just removing the structural interference right here so your body can do its thing. And everybody has that power to do that if you have everything clear and ready to go right here. And you see miracles happen. So does anybody have any questions?
Yes. When you said you held your adjustment for 3 years, how did you know when you...
Okay, so when you come to the office, we have a thermographic neck scan that measures heat in your neck. And so every time you come in, so the first time you come in, you develop a pattern. And the next time you come in, if your neck scan looks like that, it's an indication that you're out of alignment, because the same heat waves are reading that exact pattern. So when you come in, we want your scan to look different every time. And it doesn't always happen, but if your scan is changing every time, your body's adapting and healing. Now the next is the leg check. So we do a neurological leg check to see which is in and out of alignment. So like I said before, if your head's off center, one hip's going to raise up and shoulder, and you're going to have a short leg. Mostly everybody's walking around with not an anatomical, structural short leg, they're compensating up here. So after your first adjustment, the shoulders and the hips balance, and your leg length's even, and it tells us that we have it. So every time you come in, and we do a neurological leg check for every segment in the spine. So like the C1 vertebra is heels up. So just an example, if we do heels up and your right leg shows up short, it's telling us that there's interference in that area and that needs to be fixed. So we have the thermographic neck scan, we have the leg check, and then we get your hip height. And if your hips are really off too, that's another indication that you're out of alignment. So the last thing we want to do when you come to the office is give you an adjustment. Our goal is to keep this area clear. And if all indications show up that you need one, you get an adjustment. So that was a good question.
Whatever the misalignment is, that's the adjustment.
Yes.
And then the healing
Absolutely.
happens.
Absolutely. So the adjustment puts everything back into place, and then the body starts to heal itself because there's no more blockages. There's nothing blocking its path to do the healing that it's innately been shown to do.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've been told that I have mild arthritis in my lower back.
Okay.
Is that something?
Absolutely. So if you're walking around with a short leg and your head's off center, you're putting extra weight on that one disc that's starting to degenerate, and your body is no longer able to take it anymore. And it's like having a misalignment on your car. If your car's misaligned, the tires are going to wear unevenly. Mm-hmm. You put it back in, you get some new tires. That's gonna run perfectly.
And heal.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've had arthritis, so we have 80-year-olds that come in with severe arthritis, right. And the chances of us reversing that arthritis is unlikely. Mm-hmm. But we're going to put you back over center so your body has the best chance to translate gravity and make it become any worse. Mm-hmm. So we're going to put you in a spot where your body can control and stop the arthritis from getting any worse. Mm-hmm. But if you're young enough and you're getting a little arthritis, we can put you back over the center, and we have people with 10 millimeter disc bulges that over time, if they hold their adjustment, it gets sucked back in.
Wow.
Because it's no longer out of position. It's no longer cramping to this side and popping the disc out. It's evenly, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time, and it goes up and down, but it definitely does. We have seen that. We have MRIs to prove that.
And does insurance cover stuff like that?
So we are out of network. So if you call Maria at our front desk, she checks all your benefits, and if you have good insurance, sometimes they do cover it. Our office fees aren't too bad. It's $335 for X-ray consultation, first adjustment and exam, and then all our follow-up visits are $60. So it's really, we're not trying to break the bank here.
It's really, which
and like I said,
freaked me out that it was less expensive than going to the
well,
acupuncturist.
you know what really pisses me off? The people, like you called one, the people that try to sell you $5,000 care packages.
Oh my God.
It's like, and it's going to take you 60 adjustments. It's like, you don't know that.
I was like, I don't feel comfortable signing.
I charge people visit by visit because I don't know how many adjustments it's going to take. You might only need one adjustment and it could hold for who knows how long. So I take people every time I see them, each individual visit, and sometimes people hold their first adjustments. Other times it takes a little bit, maybe a couple, to get everything stable. If you had a lot of trauma like I did, it took a couple adjustments for those ligaments and muscles to mold around, heal up, and hold it, because they were traumatized. They had a lot of they were loose, and they needed a little bit more time to heal.
So if somebody comes in and doesn't need an adjustment, is the fee the same?
So that's a great question. So I just bought a practice, as you guys know, in Montclair, and the one woman was doing it for 30 years, and I think she's probably had about 6 people in that time period that have been in alignment. So she charges, she gives them like a little back adjustment, everything that, no need to take x-rays, you're in alignment, and if anything else happens to you, come back, and if you show up you're out of alignment, we'll take some x-rays. But yeah, we're not going to x-ray somebody that's not out of alignment.
So most everybody is out of alignment.
Mostly, yeah. And we see a lot of kids in our practice too, and usually adults, they can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out. Kids just have the Atlas out. Not all of them, but we don't take X-rays on young kids because we don't want to expose them to that like amount of radiation. So you can do stress and pressuring where the body, you can go up to the neck and put it back into alignment with like a quick little wisp behind the ear, and your legs will actually even out for about 4 to 5 seconds, and it gives us enough indication to give that adjustment. So
I think we went to when we went out with those doctors for when you graduated.
Yeah.
I think I asked one of them how many people they've seen that were in adjustment, and
yeah.
One of them said throughout their entire time of doing it, only one person.
Was it the man?
I think so.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's been doing it for 30 years too.
Yeah.
So you're talking about somebody new coming into the office?
New, wants a consultation. Yeah.
I see.
So bad back, right? I have a bad back, right? So if I go to get up off this chair, my back's going to hurt.
Okay.
If I get on the ground, she sees. Sometimes it's tough to get up.
Yeah.
Is that just age, or are you telling me with an adjustment that can go away?
I'm telling you, with an adjustment that can go away.
Mine,
yeah.
He had school.
This is a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story too.
Yeah.
One thing, and this is a serious question.
Yeah.
Would you adjust somebody with a brain tumor?
Yes. This is a sad story. So 2 weeks ago, I had a woman come in. She was walking to work, and she had a telephone pole hit her in the head like 2 years ago back, and she was paralyzed. And so they put a shunt in her head, and she had a stroke and everything because of the trauma she was in, and nobody would touch her. Like, nobody would do anything. So we took x-rays and gave her a little neck adjustment, and the muscles around her neck were like concrete. I've never felt anything like it. They were just completely hard and everything. And within minutes of just giving her that little neck adjustment, we couldn't even lay her down because she's in a wheelchair, and she fractured her upper back too, so we couldn't really move her. So we just adjust her atlas very gently, and within minutes, everything started to relax and get better. And it's been 2 weeks, and she came in and her arm's like this. She can't move her arm, and her left arm's getting more loose, and she's gaining a little bit more control. It's only been 2 weeks. Wow. So we see a lot of stroke patients that nobody wants to touch, paraplegics, Definitely, brain tumors. Now, does this cure cancer? No.
No, it's not. It's non-cancerous brain tumor, but it is attached to the brain. So
Right, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah. My uncle had a shunt put in his neck on like 3 or 4 months ago, and this is so precise and so specific and gentle that there's very, very few contraindications not to adjust. There was one woman with you see this, how this right here, this arch connects this to this. It wasn't there, and that's just a congenital thing where.
So doesn't it hurt to it? I've always had a fear of cracking any.
So there's no cracking.
It's
Oh, it's
not
not
It's not like that.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So
He took me to an emergency room when I went to a chiropractor.
Price.
yeah,
This was,
Very subtle.
it's subtle.
Okay.
I have people that leave the office and they're like, "That's it."
Yeah.
Like that's.
So
what
you're
you do.
out to
Yeah.
reverse because chiropractors they pretty much don't have a great name.
It only takes
And
one
you
guy to do
agree
it,
with
yeah.
that because all they do is crack you and see you.
Well, listen, I'm a huge fan of the entire profession, and if you go to one of those chiropractors, I'm sure they have one miracle story, a couple that they can speak of. So I'm a huge fan of what they're doing. I personally, with all the trauma I've had, I would never get my neck twisted and cracked for what has happened to me.
Yeah.
And if I was getting my neck twisted and cracked, I would not be better.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm a huge fan of what they're doing, but this is very precise and
Precise, yeah.
specific.
It seems like a treatment of symptoms. Like
It's
this
all-
seems
yeah.
like a treatment.
It's going after where the smoke is. I mean,
Right.
it's you got to go after the root cause of the problem.
The root cause.
And this is your universe right here.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you clear that up, you see a lot of miracles.
Yeah,
happen.
Where
good.
did you need your like adjustment? Like where were your like?
Okay,
specific-
so I had an adjustment. So I think mine came when I hit my head on the boards. Mine popped out this. I had a pretty severe case where mine popped out this way on this side, popped out this way on that side. This was misaligned, and this was misaligned. So this bone was going backwards, and these two were going forwards. So this was happening around my brainstem for 4 years. It was like someone took a cloth and just went like this. And these misalignments are millimeters. And it's that, I mean, Jackie's was probably 2 millimeters, and her whole life spun out of control.
Yeah.
So it's Jackie had one misalignment right here, and then you have people that have 1, 2, 4.
And you picked that up in the X-ray.
In the X-ray, the leg check, and the thermographic neck scan. Yeah.
I have a silly question. Does
Yeah.
it help with tendonitis?
Tendonitis, yeah. I mean, because if you're, so I had a girl in last week with patellar tendonitis, and I said, "What's leg hurts?" And she points to her left. So we put her on the leg check table, and then I brought her father over. I was like, "Come here." Her right leg was about an inch shorter than her left, which means she is putting this much more pressure every time she hits the ground. She is crushing her left knee, and that's the knee that hurts. So after the adjustment, she balanced out, and she's going to be distributing weight like way better. She'll be able to run better, and there's usually a rhyme to a reason why everyone's feeling the way that they're feeling. And she was in a lot of knee pain, and this foot was striking the ground an inch before the other one every time, even when she was standing. It was all on this leg.
Me too. I always had knee pain, and my leg was misaligned too
Oh
because
my
the way I
God.
was born.
Yeah.
And that happens, and it makes sense because your body's putting twice the amount of pressure on the smallest
Yeah.
joint. The knees are
Well, you
so
showed me her legs
delicate.
when you were
Yeah,
at the house.
her knees were
She
off
was
too, yeah.
way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I cut there. Go ahead, bud. Were you going to say something?
He was going to tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, scoliosis. I've had scoliosis like forever. I was probably diagnosed with it when I was like probably 8 years old, and he said my spine was in like an S curve, and there was nothing they really told me I can do about it, except exercise and weight lift and all that.
Yeah.
Which ended up being worse
Yeah.
on my back.
Yeah.
So on and on throughout the years, my right side is always painful. So it's like all the pressure is going on this right side, and nothing's happening on my left. I'm not balanced out.
Yeah.
So when I met Kevin, when Sam took me to Kevin and got me adjusted, it was instantly where I was like, okay, I don't feel any pain. But throughout the weeks, of course, I was going to feel pain, and I had to come back. And then next thing you know, I'm
Yeah, I think we gave you 2 or 3 adjustments. You've been holding for 4 or 5 months now.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, like I said, it's all in the holding.
Does it mean that you still have the scoliosis, just not the pain from it?
Well, I mean, he's probably got a little curve in his spine. I mean, you're not just going to take the spine and go like just straighten out like that. But his hips are balanced, his shoulders are balanced. He might have a little kink in it, but it's functioning better to the point where it will self-correct.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bob.
I'll go ahead. No, you guys.
No, you go now.
Okay. I see. I have ended my baseball. I was a baseball player. Ended my baseball career. So I tore my hamstring, my right hamstring, and I see from this diagram over there. I see that I have like really tight calves, and I actually have plantar fasciitis on my feet.
Yep. I think it might even have that on. We see a lot of that.
I mean, it's all day, every day. I go once a week to go get reflexology done. I mean, more clear my head mainly, but you know, it sucks. And I used to be a big runner, and now I came to run.
And I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people come to the office and they say, I tried physical therapy, I tried massage, I tried this, and nothing works. Acupuncture, and then you get put back into alignment. You're getting that nerve flow back to that muscle. So you can rub a muscle out all day, but if it's not getting the proper nerve function firing properly, it's just going to stay like that. So people come to us, and I'm a huge fan of all those modalities: massage, acupuncture, all that stuff. Once you get put back into alignment, you feel the tension just you start to relax, the muscles get better innervation, and then that massage you go for every week, that's going to help it out like a lot.
Yeah, because it feels like I go and I feel good for a couple of days,
Absolutely.
and all of a sudden, like today, I usually go on Fridays after work, but today, you know, I didn't go this week, and today my foot is like howling today, you know? It's it's not so I don't like wake up and I know people say they can't walk in the mornings. I don't have it like that. Mine is more just like a numbing
absolutely, and
foot, you know?
And that's not normal to live with. And after a while, a lot of people they're like, you know what, we've all been told so many things for so long. It's like, all right, this is how I got to do it.
I feel like you just get used to it.
A lot of people just get used to it.
Yeah, right.
I get like a lot of feet cramping. Is there any like?
Yeah, I mean, same thing that he was just talking about. I mean, I saw you a couple days ago. You were walking around with a short leg too, and so it's going to take a little bit. We balanced you out, and it'll definitely start to do better.
Fasciitis can turn to bone spurs too, because it's not a muscle underneath your foot; it's a tendon. So when that's constantly stretched out and sore, your body compensates by putting extra, it creates a bone. To it creates calcium and calcifies your bone, and it creates a bigger bone, and that's why it affects. So that is double the pain basically. So
I had that.
You have that. I have a question with respect to mood disorders, because I know we're talking a lot about the physical pain, but I know it's also useful in mood disorders.
Absolutely. So my mentor, Dr. Liz Hafer, she's in California, and she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and she was she had a rough, traumatizing childhood. Her dad abused her and beat her up, and she was on medications and everything, and that's one of the reasons why she sought out care, because she couldn't be on the medication anymore. And she credits this with saving her life in that realm, because I mean, it all goes back to right here. I myself had the anxiety and depression that was just really, really bad. And if you're not getting the proper blood flow, information up to the brain, it's gonna just be not functioning right, and you're gonna get distorted signals out through your entire body. And if you get 100% nerve flow, you take the tension off the central nervous system, everything's going to function better, and that's just one less reason to be less stress. Like less stress in your body is going to make you feel better. Yeah. So definitely.
Do you think if more people that were diagnosed with?
So I mean, it's not like we don't really. This really doesn't cure anything. Yeah. A lot of people get diagnoses, and it's like, okay, fix it. Like, what is that? What is a diagnosis? It's just labeling something. It's putting a word on something. And it's almost like the medical profession loves doing it because they don't know how to fix it. So they say, and people become their diagnoses. Mm-hmm. So like mentally, like someone, I've talked one of my best friends growing up was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Been trying to get him to do this, and I was telling him what we do, and he's like, dude, I have schizophrenia. Like, you're not going to fix this. And he's become it. He's just kind of said, you know what, nothing's really going to get better. And it's sad. And he's been so many therapists, and I'm sure they beat it into his head over and over, like you have a serious illness, disease, and it's absolutely. So we don't cure any diseases here. We go after the root cause of the problem. We let the body do its thing, and we see what happens.
Holistic.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
And your body becomes more aware because it's in alignment, so it picks up on the spiritual, the balancing, and what this universe has to.
Absolutely, yeah.
I saw it in your pamphlet. It says acid reflux too.
Yeah, so
How does that work?
the vagus nerve. So literally every nerve in your body passes through that first opening right here, and the vagus nerve comes through the brain down to the spinal cord and innervates your stomach. So if there's a pinched nerve up here, you're not getting 100% nerve flow down to your stomach. So we get a lot of people with Crohn's disease, upset stomach, acid reflux. We clear out the interference. Get better.
That's those pills
I can't wait to bring everyone to
make acid in my body.
Cause all that.
So when someone first comes into your office, they tell you what their issues are.
Absolutely, we take a detailed history of everything that's going on because we want to know. It's not like we're like, don't talk, we got you. Like it's like we want to know everything that's going on. Yeah. But and then we.
But ultimately, did it really matter?
Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. But it's sometimes just nice to be heard, and just
because the scan's going to tell you everything.
Right, but and also we want to know if you've had any major surgeries and you're on medication, because we're only taking X-rays of the neck, so we got to know what's going on with the rest of the body too. So we don't want to miss anything.
Can the untrained eye see the X-ray of the alignment out of?
Yes, especially. So I have digital X-rays, and now the profession has moved on to cone beam CAT scans. And so one of the reasons this isn't taught in the chiropractic schools is because it's it's almost like a ludicrous idea that one bone can change an entire person's life, and the insurance companies run the schools anymore. So you come in, you're holding, you don't need an adjustment. No one's making any money. So it's a complete 180 paradigm of what's going on in our healthcare society. So if you just so the cone beam CAT scan, this guy BJ Palmer, who founded this technique early 1900s or maybe 1928 or so, he was saying all this stuff 100 years ago, and he didn't have any way to prove it. And he was ridiculed. People told him he was crazy. And they completely wiped out all his work. And now with the cone beam CAT scan, literally we're proving that there is a bone out of place, putting pressure on the brain stem and causing misalignments. And this guy was 100 years ahead of his time, and he had no way to prove it.
I read up on that. I was doing a little research, and I was kind of blown away. I'm actually really blown away now because it just shows you how fear, like with the neck, like how that's out there. Like I tell my mom, she's like, "Oh my God, you're not going to get your neck touched."
Absolutely,
I have a big fear of that.
Absolutely,
Totally.
I hate that first of all, I hate that it says the word chiropractic in it.
So do I.
It's just,
absolutely. If you go on YouTube these days, you got people taking pride in those adjustments. Like there's like the crack doctor, and on YouTube, and it's just like
that's what I saw the day before I came to you.
It's nuts. It's like it's insane. Exactly. That's exactly good. You got some people doing some crazy stuff out there, and you know what? That feels good. So. You have little mechanoreceptors in these joints right here that release endorphins. So when you give that crack, it's almost like taking a natural painkiller. So people are like, I feel really good for a couple hours, but nothing lasts. So, they are doing some good.
Unbelievable.
But, I mean, I have a lot of people that have anterior misalignments. So another chiropractor came back and pushed that forward and more. They might feel good for an hour, but they're going to be much, much worse like once those endorphins wear out, because we just push that alignment even further anterior.
So what do you, I know you can't do it now, so what do you do? Just take your finger and you could move stuff just by pushing on stuff?
I will show you one of the adjustments I have.
I was so scared.
You were scared?
I was scared, yeah.
She was watching the crack doctor.
Not nervous. It literally showed up my face
with anything with the neck, that's instilled in us.
You hear the word.
So this is one. So this is the sound the headpiece makes. It's not the so when I give people their first adjustment, I click up the headpiece, I click it down, and I say that's the time of the headpiece, not your neck, and it's literally that much pressure.
When I've heard like other people do it,
So this is where we take your X-ray measurements, put it over your head, so we get very precise with it. So that's an Atlas adjustment right here.
Reading the comments, and I was like, holy shit.
Why would you read that? It's so scary, man.
Like, is this falling into my?
What are you in, his ear or below his ear?
I don't know.
I'm right below, I'm right
Build some
I
point
didn't know
right below his
that it
ear.
was like that.
You do your X-rays up there, but that's
Right where the
once,
C1
and
bone
then you
is.
see them here.
Fine,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, he really did help.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's it?
That's it. It's a little touch. People leave the office and like,
And now you can pinpoint all those different little things?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah?
Through palpation, X-rays, and everything. That's what we're trained to do.
What's the, you're Kevin, right?
Yes.
What's the woman's name in your office?
Maria.
Maria?
Yeah. Oh, you have it right there.
She had no other
Yeah, but you're all the way in Montclair?
Yeah. So the reason why I'm here. Everybody, the reason why I'm here is if you come up to the office and get your X-rays, I will be here once every 2 weeks to start giving adjustments.
So if you need an adjustment,
Absolutely.
sometimes you don't need
Yeah.
one.
So I don't like to not X-ray people because it gives us a lot of information. Like so, if you come up, get your X-rays, we know exactly how to adjust you. I'll be here once every 2 weeks, and we'll get everybody going and adjusted.
And that's $60 for the adjustment?
$60 for the adjustment.
And
Yeah.
$350 for the initial?
$335 for, and that includes the first adjustment.
And you're...
All of the stuff that we do is very hard to explain.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he just said that. Now you got a couple of mouthpieces
Yeah.
besides us.
Absolutely.
And a little more time,
Absolutely.
to promote another
Practice lecture.
Definitely.
So,
I hope you're being
Definitely.
more present.
I'm excited. So,
Very
look
awesome.
forward to seeing you
that was
guys.
Natalie gives an awesome massage.
Yeah.
Now what is it you're gonna do?
I'm just doing her leg check right here. So just relax your feet. Obviously, we got the table to use. Her legs are perfectly balanced like this. See how this brown one just lines up perfectly with that? So now we do our checks. Turn your head to the left. Perfect. Turn your head to the right. Perfect. Back to center. Gently lift your heels up and relax.
You don't want his strings on it?
Tom's legs are up, right legs are up.
You can actually see it. Yeah. You can see it from back here. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it straight through the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody get a mirror. Tom, turn your head to the left. That's right. See how that bounces
We
out?
keep it tight the way it's supposed to be. While
And now turn your head to the right.
We keep it tight the way it's supposed to be. We keep it tight the
Probably
way it's
most
supposed
likely
to
something
be.
going on the right side of the neck.
We keep it tight the way it's supposed to be.
Yep, well, yeah, that's
We keep it tight the way